What's going on, everybody? Welcome into Huskers Live, another episode, and Brian is out of witness protection. Shout out to Brian.
Let's go.
Brian has, he's no longer homeless. He found a home. He has pictures. He found those somewhere too. So, yep, he's no longer in prison, witness protection, whatever I made up along the way. He's no longer there. We have a special guest today. I'm going to bring him in. Hopefully his stuff's working. I've seen him popping in and out. There's two. Hold on. Let's see which one's working here. So we got him. Let me see if we can unmute him here. We got Coach Michael Rose-Ivey in. So we're going to see if he's got some technical difficulties. So he's going to have to connect his stuff before he pops in. So we'll give him just a second. But Brian, how you doing today, man?
Well, other than the movers damaging my PC, doing fairly well. It's a nice, beautiful day. It's like 90 degrees, which is pretty cool for Texas. So I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
Doing fantastic, man. I'm going to switch it to the two-person here. Let's see. Oh, hold on. Hello?
We there? We good?
Hey, let's rock and roll. We got it rolling.
Yes,
sir. We can hear you. How you doing today, man? Just telling the people you were coming on to break everything down with us, man. And I appreciate you for coming on and being gracious with your time, even though you got stuff going on today. So just want to say thank you for that. And just go ahead and tell the people what you got going on. Just update everybody on what's going on in your life with your coaching career and all that.
Yeah, first off, appreciate you guys. It's always good to just be able to talk football. I just got a football practice. So, I mean, it's kind of like a ever-ending cycle of football for me. So this is easy, you know what I mean? So appreciate you guys having me. And right now in the season, I'm coaching up at Liberty High School. We're 2-0, really solid team. This is my first season there. After the past 3 seasons, I was a head coach. So back to kind of being an assistant. This past off season, I started my own. I have been doing some training for a while, but officially started my own business called Nexus Training Performance, D-line training, film study, evaluation, recruiting, everything. Really trying to take that into a whole different space and a whole different, a new level. You know what I mean? Got a lot of ideas I got going for next year. So really just staying busy with that. Have my son who's 4, wife, and just doing the family thing. So life's been really good. Just like I said, football's never too far away.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's fantastic to hear. And then, continuing your love for football, like you said, you love what you do. So it's never an issue to be able to, talk about it or do it. Once you love what you do, it's hard to call it work after a while. So glad everything's worked out for you post-Nebraska, and I would say what's kind of the biggest thing you've learned your post-Nebraska career, just life in general, if you have a message for people.
Man, I say for anybody that's going through it right now, I say just embrace it and enjoy it. Like, there's so many times I have moments, you think you're over the game or you're over certain aspect of the game and stuff like that. It still hits me. It still hits you. You know what I mean? You just kind of wish you would have took advantage of certain situations, or maybe took a risk here, or maybe been a little more conservative in some spots, and just embrace it and enjoy it. I tell anybody, I don't know if any Nebraska players listen, or maybe high school players, man, but one of the coolest parts about high school, but more importantly, college ball, was playing with your boys, man. Being able to be in close proximity to them. Nowadays, I got guys in Texas, Florida, California, like all over the place. So it's really hard for us to get together. And I genuinely really miss those moments where, hey, we pop over to such and such's apartment, or we're going to such and such on Turtle Creek, you know what I mean? Just really hanging out with each other and just having that bond. I mean, you never get that type of bond. They talk about football being a fraternity, and that's kind of that feeling that, I still miss, more than the games and the accolades and all that stuff. Like, just being able to be with your boys, go through some grind, blood, sweat, and tears, and still be able to, that's one thing I really miss. So I hope anybody that's going through the situation now, just embrace it and enjoy the journey. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's great. For people to know. And we have a couple people who listen. Makai's dad is a big time listener to the show too. So it's good for them to hear those lessons as well from somebody who's been there and done that. So, without further ado, Brian, do you want to go ahead and introduce the football subject, and go ahead and just kind of given to your breakdown and stuff like that, and then see where you take it from there.
Yeah. So I was curious, especially when you're going from Tony White's defense to John Butler's defense. Kind of what are the things that you're seeing that Nebraska is doing differently between Tony White and Coach Butler?
I can't honestly say there is a lot different. I think the personnel is different. I mean, I'll start with this. The D-line. I mean, that's the obvious. You don't have Hutch, you don't have Robinson. It's going to look different. Like, you don't have those big bodies that they've had over the past couple of years on the interior to where you feel like, okay, hey, we don't have to do as much slant and as much stunt movement in the past. So it's going to obviously look different up front. You have a lot more athletic bodies that can move, cut across gaps and things like that. So I think maybe a little bit more movement early on as far as with the D-line. I think structurally, though, like they're still in the 3 high safety stuff. They still go into, a lot of cover 2 and a lot of different scenarios within their structure. So, I mean, it's really honestly, it's about the same structure. Now, if you got to the nuance of the numbers, I think they probably play a lot more cover 1 this year than they did previously. But I mean, look at the guys you got to be able to cover. So I think it's the same. I mean, I think it's the same structure for the most part. I just think there are some nuances just with how Butler calls things and his history and his in the NFL that may be a little bit different. But outside of that, I think everything is pretty much about the same. You know what I mean? As far as probably the verbiage, structure, and all that stuff, how he's calling it, how he's utilizing his guys and the different skill sets they have is.
Sorry, we cut out for a second, but I think we got him back. Just elaborating on that a little bit. You were talking about more cover 1, and that's one of the things I noticed is the defense is a lot stickier in man coverage, doing it without drawing a lot of penalties or committing a lot of penalties as well, which means they're doing it, with technique in their coverage. What do you think has been the biggest, jump? Do you think it's personnel? Do you think it's, I felt like a lot of times, especially in the defensive backfield, in the safety department, there was a lot of, losing eyes. And I think that's because, Gifford, I feel like is a downhill type of player, and I felt like that was just kind of in his nature. Do you feel like there's a personnel kind of advantage to that? No knock on him or anybody in the past, but do you think it just fits a little better?
Yeah, I think it does. I mean, if you put Gifford, I think in this defense, I think they keep him in the second level. I mean, you got 5 guys on the back end, and I've had all 22. I actually haven't seen all 22 of either game, but you can see the spin wheel kind of rotation they have back there. And honestly, I think all 5 guys, especially those 3 safeties, they can interchange between all those spots back there. So I think the skill set you have is just different. You have guys that can run. I mean, they talked about it. I mean, they said they probably had 3 guys that can get in people's face and play bumper run coverage. And throughout the first 2 games, we've seen Marshall do it. We've seen Wright do it. We've seen Donovan Jones do it. Even Buford and Harzog in the slot coming down and playing on the tight ends and the slot receivers. Like, I mean, they I don't know what they saw in the spring or what they, maybe it's a technique change or whatever it is. They saw something that said, hey, we got guys, we can play bump and run. If we can just find a way to get some penetration on our D line, those guys are going to cover long enough for, we get some coverage sacks, opportunities for, bad balls and things like that. So absolutely. I just think it's personnel. It's definitely personnel. I mean, you got a little bit better athletes, no disrespect to Gift, right? Yeah. But you got a little bit better athlete back there. And so, when you have better athletes, everyone talks about being versatile. Versatile multiple are 2 most cliche words for a coach when talking about scheme. And on the offense defensive side. But true versatility isn't the amount of plays you can carry into a game. True versatility is having chess pieces, guys that can do more than one thing, not just be a pawn, right? And that's what they have right now, especially on that third level with those 5 guys. And they tackle well. Butler's not afraid to send them off the edge on blitzes, so he has confidence in them there. So I think it's definitely personnel for sure. Definitely personnel. Not saying what Tony White, because I haven't looked into Florida State. And I plan on at some point kind of going in and looking at Florida State, kind of seeing what they're doing. And you can truly probably see the difference between Butler and White's system probably there. And I would assume with the athletes that White has, that he's probably playing has more uptick in his man coverage calls too. So it's probably personnel for sure. Long-winded answer.
One thing I could tell about the Florida State's defense is they were physical, and then so that's one thing that did carry over for sure. Brian, go ahead.
Surprised me because remember he said something during the summer or something like that. Or was it summer like 2 weeks ago where he really challenged like his guys, like the physicality, toughness, and you can always kind of tell. You can always tell when assistant coaches have been, giving some good info from head coaches.
Yeah.
There was a little Matt Rhule in that. I don't know if you guys remember that, but there was a little Matt Rhule in that press conference, from Tony White.
Oh,
I don't remember.
yeah.
I think it was about 2 or 3 weeks ago, but he flat out came out and said he thought defense was practicing soft and guys need to figure it out toughness. And you can tell. And he has an edge about himself already, but you can just tell, right? Certain coaches are gonna rub off on you to where, hey, I'm definitely taking these type of mantras, this mentality with me wherever I go. And you can tell that it was a little Rhule moment there, for sure from him.
Yeah, no sugarcoating. That's one thing I appreciate about this staff, especially. So, Brian.
Yeah. So, Michael, one of the concerns, I guess you could say, going into the year was that defensive line, in particular, the interior. You already mentioned they're a little bit smaller. They don't have Ty. They don't have Nash. What can they do to, I guess, combat not having as much size, but more of an athletic profile in that defensive line? Is that something that you use the linebackers for a lot more in the run fits, or how do you just combat when you have most of your defensive tackles are like that 290, 295 range?
Yeah, I mean, you got to move them. You know what I mean? You gotta stem them. You gotta get them slanted across guys' face. Get them into different gaps. Presenting different pictures, maybe starting in 3 technique and, he's slanting to a 1 technique and your other guy's slanting from a 1 to a 3. So you're kind of starting in one front and getting to another front just in post snap. And so, that's crucial. You can't have those guys standing there taking on doubles and even taking on single blocks like that, just straight up for 60 snaps in a game, or, you're going to get beat. And that's just, the philosophical, advantage of the 3-3-5 is the speed, right? I mean, obviously it'd be great to have a nose tackle there, but if you look at the history of 3-3-5s, they have never really been big on having, bigger defensive linemen. You know what I mean? So they're more worried about the speed and the movement of guys getting across the face and things like that. So I think that's where Nebraska has to use their size and speed to their advantage.
Absolutely. Sorry, I was telling Brian to leave. So the echo goes away. So he'll pop back in just a second. But to kind of keep up with the spread offenses, that was kind of the big thing behind it. And one of the biggest things that I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but week 1, it was less about getting blown off the ball, and it was more about Cincinnati scheming us up with the zone run very well.
Right.
And they were just doing a good job of getting to their spots ahead of us and then taking advantage of, opportunities where, we may have gotten a little lazy laterally, instead of attacking downhill. And then when they got us to attack downhill, then they hit us with that reverse, and stuff like that. So, a lot of people there was a lot of concern around that aspect of it, but I feel like that was a lot of scheme. And I feel like that's some stuff that can be overcome. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, how much it can be overcome is the question. Like, can they find the right calls, timing and stuff like that to be, super dominant? That's probably not gonna happen. I mean, that's a great thinking, but as far as being able to play sound defense, I think they definitely can do that.
Yeah.
I think that's the ceiling if being dominant is the roof. You know what I mean? So I think they can definitely play, good defense, take away inside gas and force the ball outside where they can run to the ball, rally with those 5 guys on the back end plus the backers. But yeah, it's just gonna look different. I think that's the biggest thing. Like, we got to understand you don't have pluggers in there at backer, right? You have more, athletic type guys that can run in space. And then up front, you don't have big plugger guys up front. So there's going to be a lot more movement. It's going to look a little bit different, but I agree with you. I think the scheming of what Cincinnati did Especially for a first game. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not. I mean, we saw. I mean, they play Bowling Green next week, albeit, but
Yeah.
Cincinnati is not a bad team. I
And
mean, we're gonna look.
Sorsby's
Yeah,
athletic.
Sorsby. I mean, could potentially be. I mean, a Big 12 offense player. I mean, he's not a slouch, you know.
Not at
And I
all.
think honestly, when they get their offense rolling, we're gonna look back in November like, geez, I'm glad we got them week 1. You know,
Exactly.
I think they're gonna be a good team. Their defense is really good. They're gonna give guys fits with. I mean, shoot, they play a 3-3-5 again, just different philosophy. They got that big guy Corleone in the middle, and he can plug away. They got some good backers too. So I think a lot of it was scheme, and I think the good thing about I finally tapped into Houston Christian today. I think they'll get their chance at a similar scheme. Um, and they'll give them a chance to kind of. I don't want to say, you know, you can't take anything away from what Cincinnati did, but just kind of give them the second opportunity to see that stuff